Yo, what's up? Probably got like one more video in me, probably one or two more videos in me. And if I do, it's gonna be short. But this video is the painful fall of Troy Ave. Let's get straight into it.
Yeah, Kanye's a widow.
Kanye's weirdo.
It's a lot of rappers that's a widow. I like a lot of Kendrick Lamar's records too. It's a lot of weirdo rappers that are out, but it's mad weirdo rappers. Oh, y'all don't understand it.
Hold on. So let me
Still getting money. Yo, I'm giving hell until I go to heaven. I don't care. There's no rules to a reaction. It's no rules.
On this song, it's a Joey Badass diss track where he saw fit to call out or sort of diss or make fun of, make light of the death of capital Steez. Troy Ave, you're an
In hip-hop, confidence is a double-edged sword. From Kanye West to Cameron to the Baby, fans adore braggadocious lyrics that leave listeners with unshakable self-confidence. However, we've seen many artists bite off more than they could chew. Take for instance, Lil Xan, whose shaky street cred never recovered from his off-base comparisons to Tupac and Beethoven.
2 was born music. 9. Beethoven made beautiful music.
That being said, few rappers encompass unabashed cockiness like Troy Ave. Once heralded the savior of New York rap, the slick-talking Troy Ave has taken a back seat to drill rappers like Pop Smoke, K-Flock, and the like. Despite this, Troy has refused to be a forgotten artist. Whether it be for his music, his countless beefs, or near-death experiences, Troy has remained a tentpole of New York rap as one of the most confident, yet unlikable rappers of all time. Way back in 2012, Troy was tipped as one of New York's great hopes for the future. Initially championed by Pitchfork, their 7.3 review of Bricks in My Backpack 2 stated, "Ave is everything history tells us a Brooklyn rapper should be. Clever, intuitive, smart, and relaxed." By the following year, Troy was largely touted as the man that was going to bring the feeling back to the Empire State. When he announced that his debut record will be dubbed New York City, the album, it was clearly a task that he was willing to tackle. It's what I see in him that I see in myself. To me, Troy Ave is like a 1986 baby and probably don't know that. Raekwon said to Troy after linking up with him on the record. 86 for me, that was the energy I had. It's what he's bringing to the table, so I see myself in him in many different ways. Released to relative critical acclaim in November of 2013, the project performed well on his independent imprint BSB Records, but in Troy's mind, the record should have been a landmark in itself. "I know that New York City, the album is classic, and I'm charting on Billboard and I'm independent," he told Vibe. It's album of the year, and it's not just my opinion, that's everybody's opinion. Suddenly elevated from bubbling rapper to potential player in the industry, Troy's words were under scrutiny like never before. And while he may not have realized it at the time, being granted the ability to reach the wider world was set to be the undoing of his momentum as we knew it. Unwilling to play the long game, Troy immediately tried to box above his weight class on numerous occasions. Speaking to Hot 97 as his debut album was hitting shelves, Troy decided to unload his feelings on some of the biggest artists in the game. But rather than aiming for the MCs in his lane, he went for those creative icons who were pushing the genre forward and painted them in a negative light.
Yeah, Kanye's a widow.
Kanye's weirdo.
It's a lot of rappers that's a widow. I like a lot of Kendrick Lamar's records too. It's a lot of weirdo rappers that are out, but it's mad weirdo rappers. Oh, y'all don't understand it.
Resoundingly killed by the broader hip-hop listenership for his claims, the decision to dub anyone daring to move away from the genre's norms as weird got him off on the wrong foot with anybody whose first interaction with him was this interview. And from there, he just wouldn't back down.
I wasn't feeling static the other day, man, because Complex had a list of some and Rookie of the Year, and he voted for Chance the Rapper over me. And I said, I'm going to tell him when I see him. I said, yo, that you did voting for Chance the Rapper over Troy Ave was coney, because I don't see Chance the Rapper at your parties or featuring on your records, and you can't be voting for drug addicts to be the Rookie of the Year. Like,
coupled with his close friend and bodyguard,
Chance the Rapper, a drug addict?
Banger being involved in an alleged beatdown of Olive McConan of all people, he only made himself the enemy. But rather than extend olive branches or walk back his comments, Troy leaned into the persona of the bully, and years on, he'd be faced with the allegations that he was running around New York beating up music journalists. And to this day, he still won't back down.
I started hearing, yo, Troy Ave's a bully. If you say something about Troy Ave as media or something else, he's gonna try to put hands on you. People had like a really bad reaction to it.
I didn't have no media training, which is no excuse. I don't care. I still don't have no media training. I don't have to go on apology tour. I'm going to say I'm genuine.
I did feel a certain type of way, though, because I heard you were beating up reviewers, writers, and bloggers.
Cap.
There was some writer who came out and they were like, oh, Troy Ave intimidated me.
Oh, you might be talking about the writer who, he came out with me to my old hood. We went out. The goes and writes, yeah, I'm pretty sure Troy Ave had a gun at this time. Are you trying to incriminate me? fuck
Did you beat that bro? Be
I
honest.
didn't. I heard he got hands put on him, but I didn't know.
But while all of this could have been chalked up to the bravado of a bold new MC, what really tipped the scales of public opinion was his approach to his relatively low-key feud with Joey Badass. As with very little provocation, Troy Ave decided to use his diss track against the Pro Air leader to poke fun at the tragic of his close friend and collaborator, Capital Steez. Almost immediately, even those who'd normally give him the benefit of the doubt, including fellow New York vet Mano, condemned his actions.
But I think his perspective on that was wrong. I ain't really one to always comment on what men do. It's just a lot of people who have had family members, sons, daughters, uncles. Does that make everybody around him or his family or his homies weak because of that? I think he got that though. Later on,
with the Locks legend Styles P claiming that when you have no sensitivity towards others' pain, that ain't being a gangster, that's being a creep. Troy had every opportunity to retract, but instead he doubled down during an interview with Sway in the morning.
You ain't pass away. Okay, that's the difference. God gave you life. It ain't your right to take that. That's a fact. Your friends speak to your character. I got friends as he got friends as himself. We not on the same level, dog. Don't play with me.
Having lost the civil war between Brooklynites in every sense,
that was a little bit too far. Now I fuck with Troy Ave as far as like the business mindset he got, but that was a little bit too far, man.
Troy had drastically reduced his own stock as both an artist and a human being in the eyes of many fans. And when it came time for him to release the follow-up to his debut, 2015's Major Without a Deal, the hip-hop world voted with its apathy, and in turn, made Major Without a Deal into a deeply ironic title for his sophomore project. Especially when you consider that the project had high-profile features from A$AP Ferg, Diddy, Mace, 50 Cent, Snoop Dogg, and more. Peaking at number 109 with 4,500 sales, the disdain that Troy had amassed meant that he was relentlessly clowned on social media for these numbers. Whereas if he was any other independent artist, he likely would have been given a pass and room to grow. Having dragged his own name through the mud, it's in Troy's admirable self-made grind that his true merits to the game can be seen. And in an interview with The Breakfast Club after the album's release, he made a really compelling case for why, rather than being a disaster, this was still a successful project for him.
Is 4,500 records sold a flop for independent artists?
Hell no, hell no. You gotta think, if I'm getting 95% of my bread, and within that week, I made 120 bands between the record sales, between 30,000 singles. It don't matter. You gotta get the slow grind, like the Reasonable Doubt grind. I could really match a platinum artist buck by buck with not even a single going gold, because what usually happens is an artist, they'll get a deal, and their regular deal, they get 15% off every dollar. A little more if they hot. I'm getting 95% on every dollar.
With an outlook like that, Troy should be incredibly easy to root for. However, when teamed with everything else, his status as a sharp business mind never gets through to the vast majority of fans because of the damage that he's already done to his reputation. Thus, when he was implicated in a shooting at a T.I. show in Irving Plaza, the world at large wasn't too eager to hear his side of the story. In fact, hip-hop even responded with a collective shrug when he was shot on Christmas Day back in 2006. However, even if this situation would have given him some leverage, the news that he intended to provide evidence against fellow NY rapper Taxstone in reference to the shooting meant that he was now in violation of his own street code. And if there's anything that hip-hop takes a strong stance against, it's snitching. After rhyming, "I'm only loyal to my fam, middle finger from the stand, it's either me or you," on Too Legit to Quit, Charlamagne the God didn't hesitate to award him the dubious title of Donkey of the Day.
I don't claim to be a gangster. One cardinal rule I do remember from the street is no snitching. But when you are a rapper like Troy Ave, who claims to be from the street and claims to be a gangster, you cannot attempt to make snitching cool. Troy Ave, you can't be the villain and a victim. All right, there's no such thing as an indirect informant. You either cooperating with authorities or you not, period. There's no cool way to be a rat. No, not when you're a street dude.
From referring to himself as Nupac in 2017, to claiming that he was now moving more militant in the wake of Young Dolph's, even though he advocated for rappers to kill fellow MCs on more than one occasion, Troy has continually made a rod for his own back. And at this point, it feels like he has actually created his own glass ceiling that was forged by his words. Despite this, during a recent trip to DJ Academic's Off the Record podcast, Troy refused to acknowledge that the toxicity of his brand played any part in him never becoming the voice of New York. However, he was quick to point fingers at others.
I done passed my trajectory. All the goals I set for myself, I passed them. I had to make new goals. I came in the game coming out the streets. I transitioned, I went positive, and I made myself rich. Everything that I did has never been done by an independent, a real independent.
Standing as tall and confident as ever, Troy Ave has remained steadfast himself, despite being through the ringer while constantly gaining criticism throughout his career. Also, in many recent interviews, a more mature Troy has emerged with mentions of philanthropy and a family man mindset. Perhaps, time has helped Troy Ave work to become a better man and artist.
Don't drop the soap.
Hold on. So let me
Still
ask
getting money. Yo, I'm giving hell until I go to heaven. I don't care.
So
it's no rules to a reaction. It's no rules.
Maybe not. Instead of being a beacon of growth, Troy Ave refuses to back down when put in a corner.
Yeah,
Seems that there's been
like
a little change in
don't
Av's
wanna back down
mindset
at all.
since this 2016 tweet. You don't have to be politically correct when you self-made. If nobody built you up, nobody can tear you down. Help can be a handicap. #facto. His confidently harsh persona reminds us that he will never quit antagonizing his enemies and won't bat an eye to low blows. And when it comes to his rambunctious persona, it seems that not much has changed for the rapper. Nonetheless, whether you hate him or love him, one thing is certain. Troy Ave is an underdog who won't stop working no matter the conditions. Perhaps the confidence that makes him unlikable showcases how he's more real than most. Either way, Troy Ave remains a remarkably tenacious artist who is the only independent musical act to receive a gold medal. So whether you view him on your rap's Mount Rushmore or not, one thing is for sure. Troy views himself as one of the greats.
If you want to really be on the record, I'm the richest independent ever out of New York City.
All right, make some noise.
Period.
Okay. Definitely shout out to Noriega. Definitely shout out to Drink Champs. Definitely shout out to Troy Ave. With that being said, I definitely seen a lot that happened in his career. It's sad that he never really got to reach what he really wanted to be, even though I know he's holding in a lot. I know he really wanted to be way more than just where he got, stopped at. But with that being said, shout out to Hip Hop Madness, and I'm gonna catch y'all in the next video.